her mother comes back into town for the first time in many years. Her mother, played by the Dame Carol Burnett. I don't know that she's been made a dame by anybody but me. I hereby pronounce her a dame. And she is a Nazi hunter who I introduced the concept of my mother, which I thought was just a concept, but it turns out she's my real mother. She was a Nazi hunter, and she abandoned myself and Jean, my sister, who's in the home. She has Down syndrome. And so there's a little bit of resentment there. I did a movie with Carol Burnett 2 years ago called Postgrad, with Michael Keaton as well. And so that was pretty mind-blowing right there. And I loved her. We had a great time. She's as lovely in person as she would be in your imagination. And I made her laugh once, although she says, "Oh, you make me laugh all the time." But I remember once. And we were in a car, and I said, "Carol, look at my backup face." You know when people back up? And Carol's sitting in the back seat. They always have a funny face. Like that. And she laughed very hard at that, and she brought it up the first day here. She said, "Remember your backup face?" I said, "Are you kidding?" I referred to that moment as the time I made Carol Burnett laugh. When I heard that she had said at a talk, she was touring with on a book tour, she said, someone asked her, "What television show would you like to most be on, something that's on today?" And she said, "I'd like to be on Glee." And Ryan heard about me. It was the shot that was heard around the world. And Ryan got a hold of her and said, "What would you like to do? Or how do you feel about playing Jane's mother?" And she said, "I'd love to. And you'd be a Nazi hunter." And she said, "Okay." It's kind of otherworldly being on stage singing with her, because it's something I imagined myself doing all my life. And it's actually happening. I never thought for a moment that this preposterous fantasy would actually come to light. And I'm reading her book, Carol's book. And, you know, she performed with Lucille Ball, Jim Nabors. She was good friends with Jimmy Stewart. I mean, she's hooked up. She's hooked up. And Julie Andrews, and, you know, they performed. They're still best friends. That's one of the things about Carol, is she's just so current. You know, she makes fun of herself, but she's basically very, very, very kind. And it comes through not only in her work, even though she was like playing a kind of a mean person, but in her book and just the way she carries herself. She's just a very kind person. I blew my lines in the last take, and it felt bad that I wasted Carol Burnett's time. It felt bad. But for the most part, I'm kind of amazed as I step outside myself and watch myself that I'm as calm and as cool as I am, that I'm all right. And I'm actually in a head place that I don't have to, you know, sometimes I get so starstruck I can't talk. And I was afraid that would be the case, and it didn't happen, you know. And I think that's because of her. She's just so grounded and down to earth and so normal. And you know, what I love about her is she's spontaneous in every take. Every take is alive, and she does something different. She's not pat at all. It's great. I hope Doris Sylvester will come back. I will miss her terribly. Every time I get to meet a piece of my family, I get a bigger piece of who Sue Sylvester is, and it's always a surprise. It's always a surprise. I remember when I shot a scene in what is my condo, I walked in and went, "Oh, I get it. I get it." It's like littered like hoarders with trophies. I mean, they were everywhere, and I went, "Oh my God. I feel like I have yet another piece of Sue Sylvester." And so here I have this mother that was abandoning and cold and very critical. And that's what Sue Sylvester has become, a bully, cold and critical, and always looking for the weak spot in somebody else, you know, the Achilles heel, so she can pounce on it. And that's what Doris does, so the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.